Hi students, I welcome to all of you to this session of refrigeration and air conditioning. Dear students, myself Dhiraj Mondol, Assistant Professor, GIS College of Engineering, Department of Mechanical Engineering, Kolani. You know that we were discussing the refrigeration subject, refrigeration and air conditioning, where the refrigeration components and control, which is coming under module 2, it will be discussed in the last few classes. It has been taken from lecture number 22 to 26. These are the lecture related to the refrigeration components and control, which is already given in the which is already taken, and the it is the part 6 of the refrigeration components and control. Today we will be discussing about the some expansion devices and the evaporator. Okay, so the you know that what we have discussed, the compressor part also discussed, the compressor where in the reciprocating compressor we have seen. Then what is the working principle of the reciprocating compressor and the rotary compressor, and after that we have seen that how the rotary compressor is working by the help of the diagram we have observed, and after that we have seen what is the centrifugal compressor, then screw compressor, how it is operated, scroll compressor, then your hermetically sealed compressor. Okay, after that we have discussed the condenser part. So in the condenser we have seen there are three types of condenser: air cooled condenser, water cooled condenser, and evaporative condenser. Okay, so in case of evaporative condenser, air and water both are taken for cooling purpose, and one eliminator you can see. So it is more effective compared to that, compared to those, compared to the air and water water condenser. Okay, now the expansion devices, we have discussed the capillary tube and hand operated expansion valve. Today we are going to discuss about the rest of the three. So the capillary tube expansion, these are the things, these are the copper strainer. Okay, already it is discussed. Now hand operated expansion device also discussed. Now automatic expansion device, let us discuss about this part. So the automatic expansion valve, you can see in this figure, the schematic diagram, you can see the automatic expansion valve is a pressure reducing device, and it is activated by the evaporator pressure, which it keeps constant, since the pressure of the refrigerant in the evaporator determines evaporator temperature. Now in this figure, it is the figure shows a schematic case of an automatic expansion valve, and it is a diaphragm or bellows operated valve with the evaporator pressure acting on the lower side of the diaphragm, and atmospheric pressure plus adjustable spring pressure acting on the upper side. As the compressor operates to remove the gas from the evaporator, reducing the pressure in the evaporator and under the under the diaphragm. Okay, the adjusting spring pressure pushes the diaphragm down, and what happened, this motion is transmitted through push rods or the needle valve stem to the valve needle, opening it enough to allow more refrigerant to flow to the evaporator. As more liquid enters the evaporator, the pressure increases, forcing the diaphragm upward and allow the valve to close. Okay, a properly sized valve will pass enough liquid refrigerant to maintain constant temperature at pressure condition. Okay, an automatic expansion valve must be set to prevent overfeeding on the low load condition, therefore cannot feed enough on high load condition. If the heat load drops off quickly, the evaporator pressure drops suddenly, opening the valve wide again in trying to raise evaporator pressure to the pressure setting of the valve. As a result, the liquid refrigerant can float back to the compressor and cause the damage. Okay. Now, if the heat load increases suddenly, the evaporator pressure will increase rapidly, forcing the diaphragm up and allowing the valve to close. This starves the evaporator until the compressor can reduce the pressure and allow more refrigerant to pass into the evaporator. The automatic expansion valve finds their greatest use in the system with relatively constant loads and in system with only one evaporator coil. Okay, now this is the in the figure the strainer you can see and liquid refrigerant is entering, and by the help of the valve seat, what happened, suddenly it is entering, and the outlet of the liquid refrigerant out of the evaporator, you can see in this portion it is coming out, and by the help of the diaphragm, okay, and spring adjust and screw adjusting screw, the particular opening and closing is taking place, and as a result the throttling process, it is a throttling process, and the enthalpy remain unchanged here, and we are getting a low temperature low pressure liquid refrigerant. Okay, so this is the function of the expansion device, your automatic expansion valve. And next is your thermostatic expansion valve. What is your thermostatic expansion valve? Let us discuss. So a thermostatic expansion valve is a throttling device which works automatically, maintaining proper and correct liquid flow as per the requirement of the load on the evaporator. Okay, this valve finds a wide application because of its adaptability to any type of dry expansion application, automatic operation, high efficiency, and ability to prevent liquid flood bags. Okay, the thermostatic expansion valve performs the following function. What are the function? It reduces the pressure of liquid from the condenser pressure to evaporator pressure, keeps the evaporator fully active, and modulates the flow of the liquid to the evaporator according to the load requirement of the evaporator, so as to prevent flood back of the liquid refrigerant to the compressor. Okay, so in this figure, the figure shows the thermostatic expansion valve, and the following important parts of the thermostatic expansion valve we have to discuss. The power element with the filler valve seat, and needle adjustment spring, bellows or diaphragm. So these are the main four parts, important parts, which is very very important. The remote valve charged with fluid which is open on one side of the diaphragm through a capacity tube, is clamped firmly to the evaporator outlet. the temperature of the saturated liquid in the vapor mixture is the same as the temperature of the superheat gas leaving the evaporator at the location. The pressure of the liquid in the bulb, okay, tends to open the valve. The pressure is balanced by pressure due to spring plus pressure in the evaporator, that is your pressure P1 and P2. It is that means your the pressure in the balance by pressure due to the spring and plus pressure in the evaporator. Okay, the performance characteristic of the thermostatic expansion valve are most suitable for application in air conditioning and refrigerant plants. When the cooling load increases, the refrigerant evaporates at a faster rate, okay, at a faster rate in the evaporator than the compressor can suck, okay. As a result, the pressure and degree of superheat in the evaporator increase. The increase in superheat causes the valve to open more and to allow more refrigerant to enter the evaporator. At the same time, the increase in suction pressure also enables the compressor to deliver increased refrigerating capacity. When the cooling load decreases, the refrigerant evaporates at a slower rate than the compressor can suck, okay. As a result, the evaporator pressure drops and the degree of superheat decreases, okay. The valve tends to close and the compressor delivers less refrigerating capacity at a decreased suction pressure. Thus, the thermostatic expansion valve, as opposed to the automatic expansion valve, is capable of meeting varying load requirements, okay. So the figure shows the thermostatic expansion valve. The most thermostatic expansion valve are set for 5 degree centigrade of superheat and are usually rated in tons of refrigeration, okay. So you can see here the in case of thermostatic valve, the filler valve is very important here. The evaporator section is seen here. Now what happened, the from the compressor the liquid refrigerant is coming into the particular thermostatic expansion valve, and by the help of this spring and valve sheet, the flow regulating arrangement, the liquid refrigerant is entering into this push that means beside this push rod here, and from this part it is what happened, isenthalpically that process is taking place, and the at the in the this is the outlet of the liquid refrigerant out, and it is coming to the evaporator. So these are the process. By the help of that, we can say that the thermostatic expansion valve is working, and to pressure P1, here you can see the pressure your in the evaporator pressure is your P1 or PS you can say, and the bulb temperature that is pressure is your PB or bulb pressure it is called, and the spring pressure is your P2 or the PE, okay. So these are the pressure, and the particular we can say that the 5 degree centigrade, the most thermostatic expansion valve thermostatic expansion valve are set for 5 degree centigrade of superheat and are usually rated in tons of the refrigeration, okay. So this is all about the expansion device. Now let us discuss about the evaporator. So in the evaporator part, the function of an evaporator is to absorb heat from the surrounding location or medium which is to be cooled by means of a refrigerant. The evaporator basically it is evaporating the particular refrigerant, and the portion of the evaporator part, it is cooling down because the latent heat is released, and the latent heat is taken away by the refrigerant, and it is coming to the compressor part. Okay, so there are there are two types of evaporator. Number one is your flooded type evaporator, and number two is your what, dry or direct expansion type evaporator. Okay, so very important, flooded type evaporator is very important. So the the evaporator is basically on the basis of the operating condition, it is two types: flooded type evaporator and dry or direct expansion type evaporator. And on the basis of the construction of the surfaces, these are three types: bare tube evaporator, plate surface evaporator, fin tube evaporator. Okay, so keep it in your mind. These on the basis of the operating condition, this is your operating condition. This is two types: flooded type evaporator and direct dry or direct expansion type evaporator. Okay, so let us discuss the according to the, and also according to the construction. This I already have told you: bare tube, flat plate surface, fin tube. Okay, also it can be classified shell tube and shell and tube evaporator, shell and coil evaporator, tube in tube evaporator, like this. Okay, so let us discuss the flooded flooded type evaporator. Very important, because it is very effective. Okay, now how it is working, how it is operated, let us discuss. So the flooded tube, so the flooded tube evaporator, in case of flooded type evaporator, a flooded or overfeed evaporator is is one wherein the amount of liquid refrigerant circulated through the evaporator is considerably in excess of that which can be vaporized. There Here a constant refrigerant liquid level is maintained. A float valve is used as the throttling device, which maintains a constant liquid level in the evaporator. Due to the heat supplied by the substance to be cooled, the liquid refrigerant is vaporized, and so the liquid level falls down. The float valve opens to admit more liquid, and thus maintains a constant liquid level. As a result, the evaporator is always filled with liquid to the level determined by the float adjustment, and the inside surface is wetted with the liquid. Thus this type of this type is called your flooded evaporator. Okay, so the to prevent liquid carryover to compressor, accumulator is generally used with a flooded evaporator. Accumulator also serves as the chamber for the liquid level float valve. The evaporator coil is connected to the accumulator, and the liquid flow from the accumulator to the evaporator coil is generally by gravity. Okay, so here you can see that in the figure, the liquid refrigerant is this, and flooded chamber is this, and float control valve is this. Now liquid refrigerant from the receiver, it is coming, and what happened, the to compressor, the evaporator to compressor, this is the evaporator to compressor, and the evaporator, the expansion valve, you can see. Okay, so what happened, from the receiver it is coming entering, and this is the compressor part. Okay, now to the vapor formed by the vaporizing of the liquid in the coil being lighter rises up and passes on to the top of the accumulator from where it enters the suction line. Okay, sometimes liquid eliminators are provided in the accumulator top to the prevent the possible carryover of the liquid particles from the accumulator to the suction line. Okay, so these evaporator give high rate of heat transfer as the whole surface of the evaporator coil remains in contact with the liquid refrigerant. These are bulky in construction and requires large amount of refrigerant for their working. Okay, the flooded evaporator are used in large installation, especially in chemical and the food processing industries. Okay, so this is the function of flooded evaporator, and it is basically used for the chemical and food processing industry. So this is the and now let us discuss about the dry expansion evaporator. What do you mean by dry expansion evaporator? So in the figure you can see it is easy. You can see the basic schematic diagram is shown. Dry expansion evaporator. So from the liquid refrigerant is coming from the expansion valve, and it is passing through this tube, your liquid vapor mixture, and at the outlet we are going to, that means towards the compressor. Okay, it is passing. Okay, how it is operating, how it is working in a dry expansion evaporator. The amount of liquid refrigerant fed into the evaporator is limited to that phase can be completely vaporized by the time it reaches the end of the evaporator. The expansion device feeds the evaporator at such a rate that the whole of the refrigerant gets gradually vaporized by the time it reaches the end of the coil. Filler bulb of the expansion valve controls the rate of flow through the orifice of the flow control. Okay, such an evaporator is one of the most widely used device for producing refrigeration, and is used on system having capacity below 150 ton of the refrigeration. Okay, so if the capacity of the refrigeration is below 150 ton, then we can use this kind of dry expansion evaporator. Okay, so in the dry expansion evaporator, the amount of liquid generated fed into the evaporator is limited to that phase, and that phase can be completely vaporized by the time it reaches the end of the evaporator. Okay, so the expansion device feeds the evaporator at such a rate that the whole of the refrigerant gets gradually vaporized by the time it reaches the end of the coil. Okay, so here we are using the filler bulb. The filler bulb of the expansion valve controls the rate of flow. What is the function of the filler bulb? It is controlling the rate of flow through the orifice of the flow control. Okay, so by the help of this diagram I can say that the compared to this flooded type evaporator, it is not so much important. The flooded type evaporator, in this figure you can see here, it is your flooded type type evaporator, and the this evaporator give high rate of heat transfer as a whole surface of the evaporator coil remains the contact with the liquid, and these are the bulky in construction and requires large amount of refrigeration for their working. Okay, and it is especially used for the chemical and food processing industry. Very very important. Okay, and after that we will be discussing about the your dry expansion. After dry expansion we will be discussing about the evaporator, bare tube coil evaporator. So what is your bare tube coil evaporator? So bare tube coil evaporator, this evaporator is usually constructed of either steel pipe, okay, steel pipe or copper tubing. Copper tubing is used in small evaporator using freon as refrigerant, whereas steel tube is employed with large evaporator using ammonia as refrigerant. Okay, so bare tube coils are available in a number of size, shape and design, and are usually custom made to the individual application. Okay, it is its use is limited to application where the box temperature are under 0 degree centigrade, and in liquid in liquid cooling, because the accumulation of ice or frost on these evaporator has less effect on the heat transfer than those than on those equipped with fan, since since these evaporator and easier to clean, and they are also extensively used in household refrigerator. Okay, so next in bare tube evaporator, I hope it is clear. So and after that the fin tube evaporator we can discuss. What do you mean by fin tube evaporator? The fin coil are bare tube coils upon which metal plates or fin have been installed. The fin increase the surface area of the evaporator, which remains increased heat transfer and capacity. The size and spacing of fin depends upon the type of application. Such evaporator have always a direct expansion feed or liquid refrigerant. Okay, the fin tube evaporator are best suited for window type air conditioner and other cooling application where temperature is maintained above 1 degree centigrade. For such an application, the capacity of evaporator is further increased by adding a fan or to the fin evaporator. Okay, so this is all about the your fin tube evaporator. Now at last the plate evaporator. Let us discuss plate surface evaporator. This is the plate evaporator, and the in the figure you can see the these evaporator are made in different design. In some cases in some cases tubing is attached to the plate, whereas in other cases two sheet may be two sheets may be pressed together to provide a path for refrigerant flow between them. Such evaporators are used in domestic refrigerator or frozen food industry. Okay, so in food industry or domestic, for domestic purpose, this plate surface evaporator or plate evaporator is used. The liquid refrigerant is entering and vapor refrigerant is coming out towards the compressor. So this is, and the plate is this. Okay, so this is all about the plate surface evaporator. So bare tube evaporator, plate surface evaporator, fin tube evaporator, I hope it is clear. Okay, so the this is the evaporator portion. So I hope it is all right, and if there is any kind of doubt, you can ask me in the comment section, or you can email me. In my email id is your dheeraj.mondal@giscollege.ac.in. So today up to this in that all the lecture it is provided, it is lecture number 27. And the lecture which is provided, you have to complete all the lecture, and some, and if and there is any kind of doubt, you can ask me. Okay, so I will get back to you, and with some doubt clearing class. So these part refrigeration components and control, all the compressor, expansion valve, condenser, and the evaporator part, these are discussed. And I hope you are enjoying the session, you are enjoying the lecture. Okay, so today up to this, thank you for listening.